At a dust-choked flea market, Nathan, a college student obsessed with vintage relics, uncovered a worn VHS tape labeled Home 1995. When he pressed play, his breath caught. The footage revealed the very house where he'd spent his childhood. At first, the scene seemed tender, familiar. Family birthdays, laughter, warm lights spilling across the kitchen table. But as the tape played on, faces began to blur into hollow shadows, and Nathan himself appeared in moments he had no memory of ever living. Nay, Nathan had an unusual obsession, collecting obsolete electronics. While his friends spent money on the newest consoles or sleek sound systems, he sought out dust-caked relics, especially VHS players. He often joked that he had been born in the wrong decade, meant for the 1990s rather than the age of the internet. One gray Saturday morning, Nathan wandered through a flea market on the outskirts of town. The sky hung heavy, the wind snapping tops against rusted poles, carrying with it the sour tang of metal and mildew. He drifted past a stall, cluttered with old pop CDs, cassette tapes, and stacks of unlabeled VHS cassettes, their plastic cases dulled and scratched. Among the chaos, one tape caught his eye, a black cassette with a yellowed sticker scrawled in marker, Home 1995. The vendor, a weary-looking man with hollow eyes, gave a dry chuckle when Nathan picked it up. That one used to belong to a strange family. If you want it, take it. Came in with a whole lot. No one dares play it anymore. Nathan frowned, but curiosity eclipsed doubt. He handed over a few dollars, slid the tape into his backpack, and made his way back to his dorm room. Inside, the battered VHS player sat waiting. As he wiped the dust from the case, he felt as if he were opening a door into the past. The television flickered, static hissing and growling until the picture steadied. A birthday party appeared on screen. A child leaned forward to blow out candles on a frosted cake, balloons bobbing in the background. Laughter echoed, warped but distinct. Nathan tilted his head. The kitchen in the video looked uncannily familiar. The wooden table, the pale yellow curtains, the red patterned tablecloth. They matched perfectly the house of his childhood in Michigan. His chest tightened. He tried to dismiss it as coincidence, but as the images sharpened, so did the memories. The old wall, clock, the vase his mother kept on the corner table. "No way," he whispered, eyes fixed to the glow. The tape jumped to a new scene, Thanksgiving dinner. A golden brown turkey glistened under the warm glow of a ceiling lamp. The family at the table smiled, laughing in casual ease. Everything seemed perfectly ordinary, until Nathan noticed a detail that froze his blood. In the corner of the frame sat a boy, silent, unmoving, his wide eyes staring directly into the camera. That boy was him. Nathan lurched forward, heart hammering. His memory was empty of this moment. He had never sat at a Thanksgiving table like the one playing before him. Yet, the face, the haircut, the striped sweater, there was no mistaking it. The screen rippled with static, then steadied again. Nathan's trembling hand stopped the tape. The room was deathly still, broken only by the low mechanical hum of the VHS player. He leaned back, dragging air into his lungs, telling himself it was all a bizarre coincidence. But deep down, he knew, this was no ordinary home video. The tape wasn't just recording some forgotten family. It was reaching into him, into memories he was certain he had never lived. Yo. Nathan couldn't tear himself away from the tape. After the first night, he wrapped it up, shoved it deep into a drawer, and tried to forget. But by midnight, he lay restless, thoughts circling endlessly around the boy's face, his own face, caught forever on that grainy footage. Before dawn, unable to bear the pressure any longer, he snapped upright, slid the cassette into the machine, and pressed play. The black screen flickered, and a new scene bled through. The same house. But the light had changed, thicker, oppressive, as if shadows had swallowed the walls. The camera drifted across the dining table, where the family gathered. Nathan's breath hitched. His parents were there, unmistakably, but their faces blurred into smudged darkness, smiles warped into grotesque curves, their eyes nothing but deep, black hollows. A chill spread through his chest. In the frame, the boy, his younger double, still sat perfectly still, rigid and silent. The camera crept closer, inexorably zooming in. The boy's eyes locked forward, staring not at the lens, but through it. Nathan felt the shift instantly. He was no longer watching. He was being watched. His hand shot out, slamming the pause button. The image froze, the faceless family stiff as wax dolls. Yet sound still leaked from the speakers, thin, rasping whispers, looping again and again. Not laughter, not background noise. Words, barely audible, but there. Come back, stay home. Sweat stung Nathan's forehead. He jammed the stop button. The screen fell into blackness. Silence closed in, broken only by the low mechanical hum of the VHS spinning down. He sat frozen, heart battering his ribs as if it wanted out. Those blurred faces, those hollow eyes, those voices calling him back. None of it felt like the record of strangers. It was his, bound to him, as though the tape had reached into his past and twisted it into something unrecognizable. With shaking hands, Nathan flooded the room with light, yanked the tape from the player, and locked it in his desk drawer. Out of sight. Out of reach. But even in darkness, with wood and metal between him and the cassette, he could feel it waiting. Patient, demanding. And it would not stop until he pressed play again. That night, Nathan couldn't sleep. He lay rigid in bed, trying to banish the memory of those faces swallowed by shadow. But the harder he pushed them away, the tighter they clung. When exhaustion finally dragged him under, he slipped into a dream unlike any other. He was standing in the kitchen of his childhood home. A jaundiced light spilled from above, carrying the faint scent of turkey and sugared cake. Around the dining table, figures sat perfectly still, their backs turned to him. Silent, motionless, like statues. Nathan crept closer and placed a trembling hand on one shoulder. Slowly, the figure turned. There was no face, only a smooth, featureless void of black. He woke with a violent gasp, his back slick with cold sweat. But the sight that greeted him froze his heart. The dull glow of a television screen flickered across his dorm room walls. He was certain, absolutely certain, he hadn't turned it on. On the static screen, white noise danced and hissed. It can't play by itself, Nathan whispered. He sat up slowly. The picture sharpened. Not the childhood house this time, but his dorm room, his desk, his chair. even the tiny scratch on the wall, captured with perfect accuracy. His blood turned to ice. In the center of the frame stood an empty chair, positioned directly before the television, the very chair Nathan had been sitting in earlier. The image shook slightly, as if a hand held the camera and filmed in real time. Nathan lunged for the lamp switch, flooding the room with light. But he was alone. Heart racing, he yanked the power cord from the wall. The television should have died. It didn't. The screen glowed on, unwavering. The room within the image remained identical. And then, in the frame, a figure appeared. It slumped into the empty chair. A blurred silhouette, head bowed, shoulders trembling with the rhythm of a muffled laugh. Nathan staggered back, colliding with the wall. He blinked, just once, and the picture collapsed into darkness. Static filled the screen again. He didn't dare move closer. For the first time in his life, Nathan understood that the border between memory, dream, and waking reality no longer existed. The tape was no longer showing his world. It was rewriting it. Yes. Nathan couldn't say when he'd finally fallen asleep. When he opened his eyes, the clock read nearly 3 in the morning. The room was a heavy, suffocating dark. Then a sound cut through it. Click, click. Steady, mechanical, like a tape being rewound inside the player. His heart pounded. He turned slowly. The VHS machine, unplugged, powerless, was running itself. The red power light blinked. The cassette spun, scraping with a dry, grinding hiss. Instinct shoved him forward. He lunged to yank the tape free. The moment his fingers brushed the plastic, the TV flared to life. No static now. The screen showed his room, clear, still, unnervingly precise, as if an invisible camera were filming every corner in real time. From the edge of the frame, a gray, ink-smeared hand reached for the empty chair. Long, crooked fingers trembled, leaving black smears like spilled ink across the fabric. Nathan froze. Sweat rolled down his temple. He looked toward the real chair in the room, empty. On the screen, the black shape lowered itself into the seat. A gaunt figure slumped forward, dressed in threadbare clothing from another age, hair matted over half its face. Its head turned, slowly, with a deliberate, bone-slow motion, fixing its gaze straight into the camera. And Nathan understood. It was looking at him. A new sound began, a slow tap, 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 as if someone were rapping a knuckle against the inside of the glass. The taps multiplied, quickening into a frantic staccato. Each knock made the screen tremble and warp, the glass seeming to strain as if about to shatter. Nathan backed away, legs trembling. The knocking grew louder, layered with a chorus of whispers, drawn out and pleading. Come back, come back. No longer buried in noise, but a single, unmistakable command. He screamed, lunged for the outlet, yanking cords free, tearing cables from sockets. The room should have gone dark. It didn't. The television burned on. The silhouette remained, seated, smiling with a mouth split open in a grin. From the screen, black blood began to seep, thick and glossy, trailing down the glass and pooling onto the floor of his room. Nathan collapsed backward, the world tilting. He felt trapped inside a door being forced open from both sides, one leading to everything he knew, the other to the warped memories the tape fed. That door was opening wider, and it was hungry for him. Oh, Nathan no longer knew where he stood. The dorm room warped and bled away, its walls sagging like melted wax, before reassembling into crumbling brick, the walls of his childhood home. But it wasn't warm as memory had promised. It was ruined, dim, and suffocating with the stench of mold. In front of him sat the old television, its screen blazing white. The shadow was still there, but now it had taken a shape. The face was a grotesque reflection of Nathan himself, eye sockets hollow and endless, the mouth split wide, dragging back toward the ears in an impossible grin. "Nathan," the voice hissed from the speakers, buried in static. "You belong here." He tried to scream, to run, but his legs were nailed into the rotting floorboards. Each breath tore through his chest like shards of glass, cutting him from within. The screen flickered. Now it showed him another Nathan, sitting lifeless in the dorm room, eyes vacant, dried blood cracking at the corners of his mouth. That figure turned its head with deliberate slowness, staring directly into the lens, straight through the screen, straight into the trembling Nathan outside. And he understood. The exchange was complete. What remained in the world was an empty husk, while his true self was trapped forever inside the VHS tape. Then came the knocking. Thud, thud, thud. But this time, it wasn't from the television. It came from behind. He spun around. Every door in the ruined house creaked open. Beyond them sat the faceless figures from his dreams, motionless around the dining table. Together, they turned their hollow voids toward him. In that final collapsing moment, their mouths opened, and from their throats poured his own voice, cold, inescapable. "Welcome home." The television snapped to black, and the thick, dark swallowed everything. "Maybe it our fault,"